Children under the age of 16 need to be accompanied by an adult at all times on these platforms. If you do choose to go outside, please keep your hands free of the doorways and windows as they can close suddenly from the strong canyon winds. We want you to ride safely at the dock with all your fingers and toes. Also, we do not allow smoking on the train at any time inside or outside of the cars. This also includes the use of electronic cigarettes, and the consumption of alcohol is not permitted. Please do not attempt to adjust the stoves at any time. Actually, I don't think you'll have that trouble today since it's quite warm in Skagway. On your seat this afternoon, you found a complimentary All Aboard magazine. If you flip to the very back of the page, you will find a fold-out rail map. Skagway is located at the very bottom of this page at milepost 0.0. You can follow the railway map north, and you can see each milepost which we'll be traveling through for 20.4 miles to the top of the White Pass summit. At the top of the summit, you will see the dotted line on the map. This is the border between Alaska and British Columbia, Canada. We'll be entering Canada for a few moments today, but will not be getting off the train. Therefore, no passports are necessary, and we will not be going through customs. When we reach the top of the pass, we will be performing a mandatory seat exchange. We like to call this the Summit Shuffle. This way, everybody will have the opportunity to see the sights from both sides of the car. So at this moment, give the people directly across from you a handshake, a smile, or a nod, as these folks will be trading seats with you at the top of the summit. Again, this is a mandatory seat exchange.
Okay, now that we're underway, I'm going to tell you something, that when we get halfway down, more than halfway, like 2/3 down, I'm definitely going to turn off the sound, and it's going to be entertaining. Now, they only let me entertain people when they can't get off, but you can't. You are a captive audience, and I know you're going to show all the enthusiasm that you can. Remember that entertainment is in the eyes of the beholder. Now, you might be able to see our salmon, and this is Full Creek, and the salmon are starting to run there. I hope it's good to see them. On the 4th of July, we have what's called the Ducky Derby, where everybody buys these rubber ducks from the different companies in town for the Chamber of Commerce, and then they put them up here, and then they go under the culvert, and then the first duck to get over the line wins $1,000, and the next 5, $100 apiece. They're almost always won by a Canadian, much to the chagrin of the people that live in this town. So I have so much money invested in these ducks, I can't begin to tell you. So last year, I bought my traditional 2 ducks, and I was standing next to the Reverend Leggett in town. They call out the winner, of course it's a Canadian, and I say, "You see, Reverend Leggett, there is no duck." And then they called my name. Yeah, I won $100 in the Ducky Derby. And then I had to go to church because, my God, I was like a whole sermon. This woman says there is no God and then gets $100? Are you kidding? So are there any fish there? Are they running yet? They're running up in Dai, but I haven't seen them here. See, the high school did this as a project in 1980, so salmon come up and die exactly where they're born. So they just come up on their own now, but I don't think they're running yet. Mount Poland's grave right here on the right. And if you look out between these trees here, you'll see like a fireplace, like an old fireplace. That's the last remnant of Mount Poland's hotel. The rest burnt down. This granite building here, that's an interesting building. It's the only granite building in Skagway. It's called the McKay School. At a time when there were 80 bars and brothels in this town, someone thought it would be a great idea to open up a Methodist Community College. It opened up, it lasted 1 semester, and then it closed. And today it is our city hall, and it's quite lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Now we talked about the fact that there are only a couple hundred people who live in Skagway all year round. Housing is a very big issue. So you're going to, well, as soon as we come out of city limits, we're going into Tongass National Park, the largest national forest in the United States. We are not allowed to build. We're not allowed to expand. So housing is at a big premium. Now, as we come through these, this is the fish hatchery when it started. As we come through these trees, and you know that train tracks are not usually in the nicer part of town, but you can see, well, I have a theory about Alaska that if you move to Alaska, you have to promise to keep at least 2 abandoned cars in your backyard, because everyone seems to do that. These are nice houses, but still we're going to come to a campground. The first campground is kind of Beverly Hills, that's where the tourists come, and the second one is for our workers, because our number goes up to like 2,000 people that we need for the tourist season, and we don't have any place to put them. So they'll pitch a tent out in the woods or in this campground, and they pay a lot of money just to pitch a tent. We don't have very many visitors today at this campground, which is the Beverly Hills campground. The next one over on the left will look. Don't worry about the speed of this train. We'll slow down soon. No, actually, the reason we're going so slow is because there are 4 trains on the line today. So and all of us are on the same line. And we have to let the time go by so that we're not on the tail of the next train. But we will speed up a little while. So this is the campground we're working with. They pay about $350 a month. There's someone living in that van. Wherever you see like a box somewhere, someone's living.
Who do they pay the money to? Huh?
No, this is owned privately now. And then all the RVs you see in this next park are owned by a lot of the companies in town, and they kind of stuff a lot of workers in each one. I have, if you have time, buy the newspaper, not the one they give you as a souvenir, but the regular Skagway newspaper, and read the police blotter. It's quite the riot. There's no place to go. If you steal, let's say you steal my car, they'll stop you at the border, or you have water. So there's very little crime. The police blotter is filled with things like a woman reported that her watch was missing but later found it. The police spend most of their time either dealing with people who are drunk and disorderly or bears. Coming to town and they shoo them away. There was once one, Mr. Flopchop wife reported a pie missing, but later her husband confessed. We shun them like the Amish. You know, when I came up here, I came up with my husband, and he came up because he had a job, but I didn't have a job. So I said, I didn't understand how small this town was. Someone said, you know, there's like a 40% unemployment rate in this town. I went, God, I'm never going to find a job. And about a week later, someone came to me and said, hey, 3 people just got a job at the train. And we're down to 10%.
What? I could give you a job here. You'll never see me ever again.
Now, some of you have asked me what there is to do in the winter at Skagway, and pretty soon we're going to come to some very interesting art in the left, out the left window here. I call it bottle art. It's what there is to do in the winter. People take bottles and they make funny things with them, and then at the very end of this line of houses is a bowling ball tree with pins and everything. See, this is the kind of thing the train is not going to put on their tour, but I bring it to you because I find it interesting. This is the great backyard where you don't throw anything because you might eat it someday.
Oh, these are all boxcars.
Who knows?
And they turn them into sheds.
Ahead on your left-hand side of the train, you will notice a few big red buildings. This is the location of our White Pass shop. Here's where we maintain all of our 82 passenger coaches, across the country. 20 diesel and electric engines and 2 steam engines. We have number 69 out there today, which was built in 1908. It's a 280 consolidation and runs on Mondays and Fridays. The number 52, which is always out there, is from 1881. It's a Brooks engine. It was the second engine we ever had to run on these rails and was brought to Skagway in 1898. We like to call this engine the little engine that could but no longer can.
Hot. Wow. I'm not used to this.
Okay, so if you missed it, we're coming to two very interesting trains, I think, what they both have. There's a little old train, it's just a doorway, you can almost see whiskers on it. Number 52, the second train ever to go on in Alaska, sitting right on the track there. And then in the background is one of our steam engines. Number 69 is out today, the pride of our fleet. So you can get a really great shot if you want of both trains, one of our steam engine and one of this number 52.
Oh, wow.
There's parking for people that don't have an emergency brake. Up ahead you can see a big tile there. That's the work of giant artist weavers. Well, I like to see how gullible a train is tonight for this time. Are we have any Canadians on board, by the way? Anybody from Canada? Okay, because I like to make fun of this music.
Coming up on the right-hand side is our historic Gold Rush Cemetery. In July of 1897, Skagway was the top of the West, and gold was a spread across the nation. The Klondike Gold Rush was on. As the rush for gold grew in Skagway, law and order was ignored as more and more ships and people spilled in the town. Skagway was in a disorderly state, which was consistent discord and fighting. 6 feet outside the cemetery boundaries, up the staircases to the right, there is a headstone that reads Jefferson R. Smith, a.k.a. Sophie Smith, who is thus described as a town villain, gangster, or hoodlum. I think you get the point that he was not a good guy. Also, amongst the resting lies, Frank Reed, who was considered Skagway's town hero. He had enough of Sophie and his slippery ways, and the plugs were ended that July for a fatal shootout on the Tuna Wharf. Sophie died instantly from a gunshot wound to the heart. Frank Reed was shot in the groin. He hung on to life for 12 agonizing days, but he didn't pull through. The town honored Reed with the largest monument in the center of the cemetery. The inscription reads, "He gave his life for the honor of Skagway." Some people say he lost his golden nuggets that day.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say a few words about the Skagway River that's going on up here. We're going to be following this all the way up on our trip. So you'll be able to see how high up we are by looking at the distance between us and the Skagway River. Now, the Skagway River is glacially fed. That's why it has that odd color to it. It's not that it's polluted or anything. That's just filled with glacial silt. But the reason I bring it up is that when we cross the border with Canada, we will also be crossing a continental divide. Here's something very interesting. Right now the water is flowing this way, flowing towards your ship. When we get to the top, it begins flowing the other way. It's very rare that you can actually be on the same trip and see water flow one way and then stop and flow the other. Once we get to the top, it will indeed flow the other way, which is why they did take the other route to come down the Skagway and Yukon River, because the water flows northward.
What's up?
What are you doing?
Nothing. Just playing with this. Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Oh, yeah. Oh.
There you go. Wow, that's really flowing.
Alright everyone, at this time I have been alerted that you are allowed to step out onto those platforms for the photo ops you may want. Please just keep in mind that earlier safety announcements, and please do not cross from car to car or stand on those aprons that I told you about earlier that connect the two cars. At this point I will be heading down the microphone for a little while as the car, actually they've already made their way through the car, so hopefully you've been our tour guides, Ellie and Lindsay, and they showed you about the afternoon and evening hours. So enjoy the views of the Skagway River on your left, and I'll be cutting my big mile on Sunday, but with the Discord Glacier Bridge.
sometimes if you can keep your eye out, if you look out your window on the ground, you might see a plant that looks like a giant maple leaf on the ground. It's called Devil's Club. It's called Devil's Club because it's got real big sugar on it, real thorns underneath and on the stalk. In fact, if you get near it as a camper, as a hiker, it can really rip your leg off. Not off, but off. And the Twinkies used to use it before they went into battle. They would take a hunk of it and beat themselves on the back and draw blood out so that they looked ferocious. Now, it turns out that if you can get to the leaf, it's actually related to ginseng. If you can peel back the bark and use the bark underneath, and there are about 5 different studies, including one to deal with MS, that are being used now using this plant, Devil's Club. I use it in a salve if I ever get a bite from a bug or anything. It's amazing, and also for like arthritis, joints and stuff. If you can get some in town, it's pretty amazing stuff. The other thing that we're going to be looking out for is the fireweed, which is a calendar plant. It has these purple flowers coming out of it now. It starts out as a green stalk, and then it gets purple flowers, purple flowers, purple flowers, and then it starts to turn white and puffy. And it all blows away like a dandelion, and then the stalk turns bright orange. And we say when fireweed turns to cotton, summer's days are soon forgotten. We know when the fireweed starts to get cotton, we have about 6 more weeks until the first stalk. See, there's like whole fields of Devil's Club. It's got like an orange berry that bears actually gets it. There is a flower guide inside your Olive Oil magazine that tells you about all the flowers that we're going to be testing on.